Hey everyone, Kuro the Artist here, and welcome to our second channel, The Rust Bucket. Oop, there's a little bit of an echo there. So I'm here today with my good old buddy, pal, friend of mine, O.R. Ash. How you doing today?
It me. I'm very tired but excited to be here.
Oh yes, we're both excited to be here because we got a very special stream. We're also here with the man of the hour, Mr. Kellen Goff. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing okay. I'm really excited. This has been many years in the making,
Oh
so
yeah.
I'm glad to finally do this.
Of course, and for those of y'all who might be living in the dark that don't know Kellen, he's had such a wide variety of voice roles the past couple of years. He's really
Oh,
rising in the ranks.
jeez.
But his most notable and most famous ones that I'm sure all you guys know by him is, of course, Salty in the Playmobil movie. He was the golden creatures at the beginning of Minions Rise of Gru. And
Yeah,
none other than the rock show announcer in Rock Dog.
that
Uh,
was how I got my SAG card. That was
abs-
my Taft Hartley.
there you go. See, so much more noteworthy. And he was like a bunch of robots or something, and something in an anime. But, anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're here today with Kellen. We're gonna be looking at a special creation of his, which we're gonna get into. That's part of the 5YL multiverse. But also for those not initiated yet, basically what 5YL is, it's this crossover webcomic series. It started out that way that myself and the Ink Tank have been putting together. For the past couple of years, we started in 2017. It primarily focuses on the Ben 10 franchise and Danny Phantom, some Invader Zim thrown in there, and also makes a lot of nods and references to a bunch of other different shows around that era, a couple more recent as well. And we've been working on it for about 6 years now. The first 12 chapters are available to read on our website below. And since doing that, the series has evolved into so many different avenues. We created this mockumentary animated spin-off called And Beyond, starring Horus, which is this little blue robot that you can see on screen right there, who is
Yeah,
voiced by O.R. Ash. Um, yeah, one of our
over
best
there.
creations. Yep. And then, as you can see in the bottom right corner, there's a bunch of different aliens. Some from the actual Ben 10 franchise that are drawn in the 5YL art style, as well as a couple of original ones. So one thing that became very popular in the 5YL community was commissioning myself and Ash to redesign and create official artwork for various countless alien transformations. One of the best parts of the Ben 10 fandom is making your own aliens, and
Yes, sir.
yeah, and Ben canonically has over a million. Like, the show that will never be able to touch the max amount. There's infinite. Anything could be in there. There's,
Hmm.
mummy aliens, there's big rubbery aliens, there's Lego aliens. Anything could be an alien. That's kind of the fun of it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the best part. Is like anybody can contribute because the universe is that big. You know.
Absolutely. And of course, once you involve the multiverse, then you can have alternate versions of different aliens. You can have ultimate aliens, mutated aliens. The creativity of the Ben 10 fandom is endless, absolutely endless. And that's one of the main links that started our relationship with Kellen, and then his eventual induction into the Ink Tank, becoming our official fifth member. You've been with us for a couple years now, isn't that right?
Have I?
It
Uh,
seems it's time is so weird. Like,
Yeah, definitely before if not at the start of the pandemic, then before it.
yeah, yeah, which was coming up on about 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kellen's been a part of the Ink Tank, contributing in various different ways. He's created transformations for us to use in the comic. He's voiced two of his own transformations that we animated in a link down below.
At
Uh,
your request.
oh, of course, yeah. He also did Accelerate for us once, but the original ones are a little bit more fun because you get to like see your aliens come to life. We're coming up on a full playlist. A playlist is a set of 10 aliens,
Mm.
um, and we'll be talking a little about those later. But for
Yeah.
now, the whole point of the stream is there's one transformation in particular that Kellen has created recently for us in the 5 whale multiverse. Well, not created recently. We created the 5 whale version, so to speak. This is
Inducted,
actually,
maybe.
yeah. He's been inducted into the Omnitrix. And but he's a very special transformation to Kellen. He has a little bit of a history with him, so this whole stream is just dedicated to that transformation. We're going to be revealing him soon. But before we begin, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about him?
For sure. And just side note real quick, if you guys would like to see my playlist and even Rob or Ryan's playlist, they are on the 5YL Wiki, thanks to the 5YL Wiki team, Levi, and all those kind folks. And mine is 25. I believe Rob's yours is a 52.
Yep, yeah, I'm playlist 52.
And Ryan has 2 because he couldn't fit all of his creativity into one.
I have 4 actually.
Of course you do.
Okay.
Oh, of course you do. No, it's all good.
No,
I mean,
don't be sorry for that.
42,
You're the most creative.
67, 68.
yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I should have prepared something better to say about this, but I won't get too woe is me about this, but everybody has a tough time in middle school, right? And the way I coped with my stuff was making these Ben 10 aliens back in the day, and yeah, I've had my own universe that I've written and mostly just kept in here, sort of an AU universe of my own Omnitrix bear, or his is the Zycotrix, and his name is Cairo Baxter, and we actually drew him last night, and we'll be revealing him later as well, or we can even reveal him now if you want to.
Yeah, I could throw him up on screen if you want to jump ahead to revealing him.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, so this is your original character. This is him a bit further into his timeline, so to speak.
This is him in the current, I would call this season 20 Cairo Baxter. But yeah, no, that is he has gone through it, and maybe one day I'll write it all, but for now that is the primary user of this alien I'm about to talk about, which was not my first alien, but certainly, every Ben 10 user or season has their own biggest alien or first alien. The original one was Heat Blast, and later Feedback, and then AF, I guess, would be Swamp Fire, or so on and so forth. So mine is drum roll. We're about to show you what I drew as a kid, the first drawing of him. Are you ready, Rob?
Oh, yep. Just let me know. Here we go.
This is Energuy. This is my best boy. This has been my best boy since I was 13 now, and we have he's seen multiple redesigns over the years, but that was drawing from 13-year-old Kellen. And I'm really excited to show you guys what we've come up with for his official thing. Now, I will say, I actually did this before Lodestar was ever designed even. So when he came out, I was like, dang it, I should have revealed him first. But I think we've made him in the final design in a way that he is a bit more differentiated from Lodestar. I think, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we went the right direction with him. Yeah, while still maintaining the respect of what he's supposed to be initially.
So let me give you what Energuy can do. Energuy's thing.
Oh, sorry, real quick. So this is the part where you want Ash and I to kind of create some visuals as you speak, right?
Yes. So
okay.
We got a draw pile going for you guys, and Rob and Ryan have very graciously offered to sort of doodle visual aids for you guys as I'm saying my spiel.
That's right. And the fun part is we actually have no idea what Kellen's going to say, so we're just going to be improvising and hoping that we're drawing accurate representation.
That's the funnest, right? That's the funnest part.
I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're going to be drawing. We're just going to listen to Kellen. A lot of this information is going to be as new to us as it will be for you, and we're just going to try to create visual aids. So
that's the funnest part, right? So
yeah.
So let me paste Energuy in here. just so everybody can see him while you guys are doing your thing. That should be in there now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, Energuy's thing is force absorption and conversion. So, he can take... his species is Sorbarians from Sorbaria. Let me type that out real quick. Sorbarians. Did that work?
Where'd you type it?
Hexbox, hello.
Oh,
Oh, is it just that tiny?
is the text the same color as the canvas?
I don't know.
I don't know. Draw pile's mad weird. I don't know.
I'll just write it out. Sorbarian. So, his thing is... Oh, hold on. Evernote glitched out. Hold on. Sorry.
How
Okay,
dare.
his thing is force absorption and conversion. So he is able to absorb any harmful force or radiation against his body, from a punch to an energy blast to burns from the sun, anything. Well, not anything, but anything harmful against him. And then his body, mostly gravity, actually. And his body is able to convert it into a unique biokinetic energy I have called SAR. S-A-R. Now, these are actually based on loose translations from Sanskrit, because this guy is kind of an ancient race. Sanskrit, Greek, Esperanto at Ryan's suggestion. So on and so forth. So he can store the converted SAR in that orb between his horns called a sarpole. The sarpole swells or shrinks as he uses or gains energy. And I will get into the drawbacks and cool stuff of that later. So Energuy is able to manipulate and weaponize the SAR into blasts, concussive waves, and beams. He fires them from his hands, feet, and tail. He has small orbs on each finger and his palm, called proculata. Those are sort of what...
Can you spell that above this hand I'm drawing right here?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
And we can clear this at any point.
That's a lot of proc.
Yeah. So it can fire out of there, out of his feet. When he fires it out of his feet, it gives him limited flight or enhanced jumps. He can propel himself through the air, type of deal. And to counterbalance the force against his body, he has a self-healing factor similar to Deadpool or Wolverine, where he can use the energy from the SAR in his sarpole to power said healing.
Now, is there ever a point where the energy sphere in his head isn't there at all? Like, could it ever be 100% drained, or is there always something going on?
No, that's like Charmander. If it's completely out, he's dead.
What would you say is like the smallest it can get?
I'd say top of a thumbtack.
Oh, okay.
That kind of, but that's like when he's like really like he's probably passed out by that point.
Gotcha.
So this self-healing factor can also be slowed, stopped, or hastened if he wants to use less or more energy. And thanks to this, he has a very powerful immune system. So he is pretty pretty resistant to. You're making him fancy.
Yeah.
He's pretty immune to sickness, thank goodness. Now the Sorbarians are a warrior race, always have been. So he's got a bit of instinctual combat proficiency from generations of built-up instinct. The entire society, and I'll get into that in a second, is based on battle. If you're the strongest, you get like leadership positions. He also has optimized body structure. That's pretty self-explanatory. That's just my way of saying he has enhanced strength, speed, agility, endurance, durability, and jumping ability.
He's got that enhanced jumping?
Yeah, not as good as like Crash Hopper, but certainly
wonderful.
Oh, am I a little quiet?
Let
me turn.
Yeah, I can try. Folks, let me know if any of the audio needs to be balanced. I also have some light music playing. I'm trying to have it low enough where it's not interfering. But for some reason, whenever I stream music, it's always louder in the stream than it is on my headphones, so I can never tell. So I try to overcompensate. But yeah, let me turn some people up.
Cool.
Yeah. Of course. Ash, how you hanging in there?
I'm doodling. I just don't want to interrupt. Sorry.
No, please interrupt at any point. I like to hear your creative thoughts, your input about the things I say.
I do have one question, just for a frame of reference in his place in the universe. So you say they're a very warrior combat species. And yes. I feel like the standard, or at least the most notable for that, are the Tetramans. So how would you say a battle between him and a Tetraman would go?
I think a Tetraman might get tired before a Sorbarian is done fighting, you know? Endurance is big with these guys because their entire thing is when they get punched, they get stronger, you know?
Gotcha.
And they release that strength, so the strength fluctuates, but it might be they end up outlasting a Tetraman, but they are nowhere close to each other in the universe. In fact, Sorbarians didn't really even make it outside of their too far outside of their solar system before the eventual fall of their society. Yes, that's right. This is an extinct species, everybody. There are no Sorbarians left except the one inside the Omnitrix, and I will get to that in a sec. So Sorbarians have sharp claws, and what we've affectionately dubbed tail nails. They have horns on their tail that they can scratch through. I'd say they're sharp enough to go through wood.
I forgot they were sharp.
Yeah, a little sharp.
There we go.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a bit.
Just a
little bit of point.
True that. Arbarian Colorado's 1, Sorbarian 0. Yes, there is a limit to how big the orb can get. Let me get to that right. Oh, actually, in a second. So they have gravity resistance because I'll get into this in a second, but Sorbaria's gravitational pull is immense. I'll explain why in a second. And because of this, they've sort of evolved to be able to survive under high pressure, which means they have space survivability as well.
We're getting pretty stacked on this canvas. Ash, how about you take a screenshot of this to save it, and then we start some new doodles.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They actually a perfect place to stop because I'm about to get into the weaknesses. We can do those. And if you get tired at any point, let me know and I can slow down.
Psh, that's for mortals.
My man.
Yeah.
Now, because as you can see, they have no mouths. they are breathless. They don't have lungs or breathe in a traditional sense. They can survive in environments that don't have breathable air, such as toxic atmospheres and underwater, because all their form of breathing is taking in energy into the sarpole. The sarpole is kind of like an optimized organ that replaces many human organs. So yeah, I'm about to get into the weaknesses. Do you want to start the canvas anew?
Yep. So the weird thing about draw pile is the visible canvases are dependent on each person. So I already turned the canvas off on my end.
See.
Yeah. So
so it's a new layer.
yeah. So just turn layer 1 off, and now we're on layer 2. Yeah. It's something.
Yeah. Okay. The weaknesses. If he has insufficient energy, the more energy that Energuy releases, the smaller the sarpole gets. If the sarpole shrivels to a tiny enough size, the Sorbarian will immediately enter a coma-like state known as a sardrowse. And Energuy will stay in this stasis until the sarpole is restored to an adequate size, which can be simply over time or via force absorption and conversion. So you can punch this guy awake if you'd like to. Usually, if there's nobody else around, it'll swell up over time just from from converting radiation from the sun, which we're constantly being bombarded by, or force from gravity, which we're constantly dealing with. Energy overload. If too much energy is absorbed without release, like if you hold in your pee too long, energy will lose control of the sarpole's shape and release all the SAR at once in a concussive shockwave. The size and shape of which corresponds to the factors like how strong they are, how much energy was in there before it exploded, so on and so forth. This shockwave only affects organic matter, so it leaves like buildings and rocks and stuff alone. But the damage can range from the force of a meager slap to a car crash, to a plane crash. It all depends on how strong the Sorbarian is and how much energy was in there when it all melted down there.
I'm drawing I drew a very tired one, and now I'm trying to draw one that's the opposite. The energy is overloading.
He's freaking out.
I'm waking one up.
What if an osmosis sucks him? Then probably it would end up getting smaller, and he'd go into a sardrowse at some point. No, you can't take the sarpole. The sarpole, touching a sarpole is like touching a plasma ball without the shielding. It gives you a bit of a shock.
Zit zit.
What's that?
I just said zit zit.
Can these guys lose their orbs, or can someone take them away? Yeah, I just answered that. Yeah, these are very much not physical objects, the sarpoles. They're plasma held in place by a Sorbarian's own gravitational field. Alright. I'm doing my best to find the questions in the chat. I would not say their gravitational pull is stronger than a Galilean. I'd say they'd just be more resistant to a Galilean's attacks. Why are you drawing Jimmy Neutron?
He's got a brain blast.
The brains are right under the sarpole. Thank you. The green juice. So the limit on how big the orb can get is completely dependent on how much they've trained it. Like I keep going back to bladder. I'm sorry, but it's like the best metaphor for it. If you trained yourself to hold it in for that long, so too can the Sorbarian, and it can get the size. It isn't actually always correspondent to how much energy it has, because the strength that comes from a Sorbarian is how much they can hold it in and push it inward, But it's always, there gets a point where it touches the horns, and that's probably too much for them. I love... How do they speak or communicate? So, I'll get to that in a second, but I'm very excited about this stuff. I'm really glad you guys are excited about it too. Thank you. If it gets boring, just let me know and I'll slow down or get to the point. Now these guys can also get fatigued because Sarb projection is equatable to exercise. So they can wear themselves out if they overexert themselves. But again, that's completely dependent on how well they've trained themselves. So like strength and endurance training they can go through. Now this is largely controllable by Energuy, as it's a Zycatrix form or an Omnitrix form. But pure Sorbarians, like what Energuy is, have an instinctual superiority complex and an aggressive need to prove their supremacy through combat. So they are F-boys. That is it for his powers and abilities there. Let me get now into my Sorbaria lore page, which is a bit long. This is going to be the bulk of the stream here.
Oh, buddy.
It's like a sentence or two there.
Yeah. Before we get into that, do you guys have any thoughts?
Just let me know when you would like me to show either your second illustration or his final. But until then, you or if you have a specific thing you want me to draw here, I'm just trying to follow along.
Right on. Yeah. No, we'll show the. So I made an updated drawing of Energuy when I was 20, which was 8 years ago now. But we'll show that a bit later before we get to the story of Sorbaria's demise. Yeah. So here we can actually clear the canvas again, because I'm going to start getting into Sorbaria as a planet.
New layer, Kronk.
New layer.
Wrong layer.
A new layer approaches. Energuy does not have an accent. And I think you know that, Ruby.
What would his voice be for the audience?
So, general American, definitely. I always pictured Steve Bloom, but the youngest he can do, I never pictured myself voicing Energuy, but definitely some kind of flange effect or phaser effect on said voice, and I'll explain why in a second. All right. Hi, Frankie. Hi,
I'm
Frankie.
sorry.
It's okay.
I've been trying to keep him out of my room. But
No,
It's okay.
all animals are welcome on this stream. How's Frank doing?
Currently he's weeveling on my bed and tearing up my blanket.
Hold him up
lovely.
for the camera.
Okay, yeah.
Frankie break. Frankie break.
Come here. He's like, what? No.
Frank, you decided you were going to be the center of attention. Here we
Showing
go.
off on the stream, my dude.
Hi, Frankie.
It's the Frankie boy.
Frankie time.
He's like, what are all these lights? He just wants to sleep. Oh.
He a good boy.
He's a very good boy.
All hail the Frankie.
Come here. Oh, careful, careful. Oh.
Frank
He's just going to sleep now.
Oh, good baby. What you do, Frank?
He can slightly hear you, and he's very confused.
Where is he?
All right, I'm gonna get back to it.
All right, Frank.
So-
I'm gonna let you go lay it back down, okay?
Sorbaria. It was the planet, otherwise known as Kath by the knowable universe, because nobody ever really made it to Sorbaria. Well, some did, but before they made it, the planet was known as Kath. As like, say, Jupiter, it would be known as Jupiter to us before we got to Jupiter, and there were Blobabarians there that called it Blobabaria. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the name for it now. It is also known as Jerkur and the Kennen by other races. It is part of the Jabata system, which is now defunct thanks to the Fall of Sorbarea. In the Vandy galaxy, in a real star cluster, Messier 68, because I chose that one because it's full of supergiant stars. No moons.
No moons?
Yeah, no moons.
No moons.
It is current population 0 because it's destroyed. Okay, so it is 2.3 times larger than Earth. The density of the ground is now let me compare this to Earth. Earth's density of the soil of the ground is 5.5134 grams per cubic centimeter. Now, to compare that 5 to the density of 75.9 grams per cubic centimeter, it is a very, 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 very dense planet, because the gravity in comparison to Earth's 9 meters per something, to Earth's 9, the gravity is I see, meters per squared second. The gravity on this place is 153.792 meters per second squared. It is very, very, very gravitous. There are no bodies of water. It's one gigantic landmass. And the atmosphere on it is a very thin xenon-based one, made up of a bunch of noble gases and radioactive gases. It's a smooth plateau terrain, different earthy colors in every region, such as Castleton green, light brown, dark brown, rufous red, moccasin, selective yellow, beige. I'm doing this really quick to try and mess you up, but you're going
like
with
shit.
that. Yeah. Basically, Sorbaria's color scheme is like a rainbow of muds. So it looks like a giant globby. Like if y'all ever played Super Mario Sunshine, it's kind of like that globby dirt kind of deal.
Mario's the one with that blue rat that runs fast, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Gotcha.
420 are watching now. Nice.
A.
Right. So here I'll let you make Sorbaria.
I'm trying to draw like a human getting crushed by the gravity. In fact, I mean, if it was that much heavier, he probably would just be like soup.
He would be soup.
Yeah. I will say, sometimes I get like pages upon pages of lore for alien transformations for commissions. I've never had somebody tell me why mathematically the soil is more dense on their home planet.
Oh, I go hard.
Yeah.
I go hard.
I like it. Like I admire it. I will just say
dense,
I've never...
Because otherwise it's dense because of the gravity. It's been packed for over billions of years. So the society is industrial, war and trade based. The buildings are dome shaped, built for width, not height. For instance, the tallest building, the Dome Palace, where the monarch lives, is only 4 stories tall. But the widest building, Bol Rigor, had a square footage of 592 kilometers squared. So that's like bigger than Las Vegas. Yeah, it's it can get to be a lot. Now the main exports were vanadium because that's a big. The soil is very much made up of vanadium, and even Sorbarians are vanadium-based life forms, vanadium carbon compound. Because I chose that one because vanadium conducts force energy very well. Sorbarian products. Oh, there's also so the main exports were vanadium, raw and defined. An element. Oh, there are no clouds, buddy. This thing is this. I'm sorry, but this place is like, if there is any kind of atmosphere, it is invisible. This place is impossible to breathe on. So Sorbarian, so there is an element called chrysarchium, which is highly conductive, that makes up the core of Sorbaria, and that's what sort of mutated the Sorbarians to evolve the way they did.
What would that be made of?
Chrysarchium?
Yeah.
Chrysarchium's just the element. Chrysarchium's made of chrysarchium. So
is it like a plasma or a mineral, or?
I'd say it's like a radioactive mineral.
All right.
Yeah. And then products made of either material. They made Sorbarian products were made with a focus on durability. So, and now they're antiques and highly sought after in the galaxy now that Sorbaria is gone. This included weaponry, engines, automotive parts and components, spaceship parts and components, so on and so forth. Chrysarchium, I imagine, being scarlet.
Oh.
But
is there a hue shifter?
Not that I know of.
Is there a paint bucket?
Yes, but it doesn't work that well.
Here, I'll do it. It doesn't matter.
Sorry.
These are just doodles.
Like that?
Like, oh, I'm not allowed to?
Are you on layer 3?
Like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, okay, there were like 56 major cities and 263 townships, 10 provinces, and only 25 countries in the on the entire planet. The Dome Palace, home and base of the monarch, was located directly on Sorbaria's North Pole, in the center of the city of Orpilos, in the center of the county of Ashrai.
Wait, what was that first word?
Or it's what you heard it was, Orpilos.
That sounds...
I named it after you, buddy.
What?
In the center of the country of Ashrai, which I named after Ryan Asher.
Oh my god.
I don't know why.
I'm so glad I caught that. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm honored to be a part of the lore.
Yeah, absolutely. It couldn't have been done without you guys. In the center of the Energuy province, named after the first partner I ever had on this lore back in high school. Okay. So. Yep. All right. So, Sorbarians. Here we go. About to answer a lot of your questions. Yes, I did shave my beard down a little bit. Let me answer some questions. See if you guys have been asking so far. Sonk the blue rat.
The blue rat.
Glitch assimilating Energuy's DNA while in his rust buggy form, and then proceeds to go on a road rage, blasting Lagrange's car. Could a conductoid absorb it? Hard to say, because it's not really electric. It's kinetic. So I don't know enough about conductoids to know if they could really absorb the Sarpol.
As I think I would probably say no, just because like we've only really seen feedback deal with like, you know, like basic tangible physical energy. It's always been in some way like just a laser.
Part of the reason that I waited so long to do anything with Energuy is because I was afraid he was too similar to feedback. But I think we've made the difference very clear here, where Energuy is force and kinetics, feedback is more electric. How did they get the DNA to put in the Omnitrix? So I will actually get to that. Would it overload Energuy if he was nuked? Haven't thought about that. Maybe. Something... Well, I won't spoil it. How does his powers work biologically? I will let you know. These are all going to be answered. Do they have any predators? No, they don't. Just themselves. Would a Sorbarian survive on the surface of under Vladius on energy absorption alone? I think that's a Ryan question. What do you think?
You said on a nerve Vladius?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Only because with Vladius, it's said to be able to kill a celestial sapien. Like, I don't know if the level of energy influx there would be too much for them or not.
Are we going with that for 5YL?
It didn't. I thought we went with that.
I don't know about Celestial Sapien. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know about
fair. That's fair. That's fair.
I think that was a stretch.
What I would say is that currently there is not enough information on Vladius itself to determine a solid answer.
Okay,
Which that's very vague. I don't know, so I'm sorry, but like, I'm just not totally sure.
No, you're good. Is grave robbing a way to make money on this alien planet? It would be if there was any planet left to rob. What is their technology level? So on the Kardashev scale, are you guys familiar with the Kardashev scale?
No, but I think they might be talking in like the technology levels in the universe. Here, you know what? Let me get you the wiki page for that.
Yeah, please. I know where they are on the Kardashev scale.
Well, what is that? Let's explore that.
The Kardashev scale is a real-life scale for civilizations. I believe we are a type 1 civilization. We can only harness the energies of our own Earth. Type 2 civilizations can harness the energy of their stars. And Type 3 can harness the... wait, hold on. Let me just make sure I'm not talking out of my ass here. Kardashev scale.
I threw the technology levels link in our chat as well as the stream chat in case other people wanted to check out the page and follow along.
Yeah. Okay, so a civilization... Type 2 is a civilization capable of harnessing the energy radiated by its own star. For example, a Dyson sphere, which would be a bunch of solar panels gravitationally orbiting around the star. Type 3 is a civilization in possession of energy at the scale of its own galaxy. Now, arguably, at least Sorbarians argue that they're a Type 3 civilization because the Jabata galaxy is only made up of one planet, Sorbaria. Sorbaria is right smack dab in the middle of two stars. That's where the gravitational force comes from. The two stars don't orbit. Well, they orbit, but they don't go around. They just sort of stay where they are. But they move as a star moves, you know? But the only thing that really rotates is Sorbaria, smack dab in the middle of these two stars. Now, granted, they're both at the same distance as ours is from us to make life possible, but it's still two of them directly parallel to each other. So, big gravity. Big gravity. Also, Sorbarians are very heat resistant because of this.
They got that big pull energy.
An average Sorbarian is about 5 feet tall. So, down there, little guy.
Oh, I got a good question for you. Well, I saw it in the chat, but I want to make a visual for you.
Yes, sorry, I mean solar system instead of galaxy. The galaxy is Venti.
I need 3 heads.
So...
Oh no, I know what you're gonna do. I saw the question, I think.
Kellen, how would a Sorbarian wear a beanie? Would it be like this? Would it be like this? Or would it be like this?
You want the real answer? It would be like this.
I dig it.
And it would have to be a beanie that could survive the rotation of a Sarpole.
It would double as a sleeping bag. All right, so that does beg the question. So, what kind of material would they wear for clothes then, with such like a high gravity?
So that they mostly wore armor made of the vanadium soil that was so resistant to the suns in the first place. But you'll see later on Energuy's 5YL design that armor would be pretty based on what actual Sorbarian clothes would be. All right, let me get into the Sorbarians, because this is going to answer a lot of your questions, chat.
New layer.
New layer.
New layer.
Go.
Oh wait, I'll wait till Ash is done drawing that little. Oh, he looks so sick.
That little hipster.
Yeah, I like him. That's a vibe right there.
Yes, sir. Alrighty. So, new layer.
New layer.
Okay. So, Sorbarians were the dominant species. The record for their greatest population ever in the existence of their species was only 52,819. Compared to our billions, not a lot. And I'll explain why later. They're vanadium carbon-based life, type 2 civilization, and they argue type 3 because they think they're the center of their own galaxy. But that's not true.
God, those Sorbarians.
Very superior. So, due largely in part to the subionic radiation from Sorbaria's Crozarchium core, Sorbarians evolved from... I would say early Sorbarians look a lot like, what are they called? Horseshoe crabs.
Ooh, let me look down.
Horseshoe crabs made of rock and metal. So Sorbarians evolved to adapt to the gravity of Jabata's 2 equidistant orbiting suns. One is named... sorry, one sec. Sorry, I got a notification. Sorry. Okay, one is named Nove, and the other is named Pen. So, early Sorbarians would develop and eventually evolve into bodies that absorb the G-force. And early Sorbarians would yeah, like that. It would be more of an excretion than a projection like it is today. so it would be more like excrement. But it was always energy based. So I talked about the Sarpol. It acts as sort of a second kinetic heart, regulating the flow of SAR through their bodies, and the unconverted force through their glowing Sarpoli veins that you can see going throughout. So see how my pasty ass skin has like blue? Theirs would be glowing whatever color. I picture green, but could be blue, could be purple, could be blue, could be red, so on and so forth. They're a very neon species. SAR can also be stored in the orbicular conduits in the forearms, knees, and hips and wrists, known as sangrelata, for premeditated quicker use. So it doesn't always have to flow right out of the Sarpol through the hands. You can sort of like lock and load a bullet in the chamber by transferring a little bit of SAR into one of these conduits in the arms. The Sarpol is self-generating and fully extinguishes when the Sarpol dies. I explained that already. I did the SAR drowse. This can take a SAR drowse can take anywhere from minutes to days, depending on the health and constitution and just how malnourished they are. The Sarpol is held together in a spiral-like motion by an intrinsic constant reflex of the Sorbarian body. This reflex shares similarities to breath, but is only noticeable to a Sorbarian if thought about. So, for instance, right now, audience, you're thinking about breathing. You are now self-aware of your breathing. So too would they be self-aware of their Sarpol, blah blah blah. It can be. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. But I had to
Suffer.
I had to explain it. Now it can be pushed to great limits through that training, and theoretically has the potential energy capacity for upwards of 200 SARVs, or 2.73 times 10 to the 34th power joules. That's more powerful than our sun. But that is only like I don't think Energuy could ever get close to that. These are specifically just like bodybuilders that have like trained their whole lives, you know? And I don't think the Zycotrix could really get to the point of a truly jacked up Sorbarian. I already talked about that thing. So in Sorbarian society, remember how I talked about the Sarpol losing control?
Yes, indeedy.
That is known in Sorbarian society as sarping oneself, and was common. It's common in Sorbarian infants until they're old enough to learn control. If that sounds familiar, it's because that's what it was based on. A sarping only affects living matter, so on and so forth. Yeah, Ash is really good. Ash is really good at drawing.
What happened?
Oh, I'm just reading the chat. They're praising you.
Oh, thank you.
What do they do for fun? They fight each other. That's it. Well, I actually go start yourself. I actually will talk about what their national pastime in a second. I talked about that. Okay, here we go. The species, and you guys are going to want to draw this. The species is split between two subraces. Pure, that's what Energuy is, and Scorn. Now, I'll talk about pures first. Proclaimed to be the next and final step in Sorbarian evolution, the pure Sorbarian subspecies mutated to be able to project their stored energy from their proculata, from the stuff in palms, fingertips, and toes. They stand fully upright with stronger skeletons and skyward-facing horns, like Energuy, and notably have prehensile tails with proculated tips, instinctually greater reflexes and coordination, and 4 fingers on each hand.
So in question of that, you said skeleton, right?
Yeah.
So, assuming that their skeleton structure is what I'm imagining, how much of their head is a skull?
I'd say the whole thing.
The whole thing, like if you can X-ray through the entire thing, is bone.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I'd say so.
What a bonehead.
Yeah, they very much are. That's an apt description. Very clever.
Right.
So most treasured to pure Sorbarians is their blood that runs a deep shade of royal purple with a metallic sheen and viscous consistency. So it's very it's like Nickelodeon slime if it was royal purple, I guess. But maybe even more viscous. I don't know. And if I don't know, nobody knows. This is reflected in their skin, which is majoritively indigo for most, but it also ranges from rufus red to I'm losing my place here. From rufus red to navy blue, depending on the region of their birth and the soil they were birthed from. Are you drawing a pure Sorbarian skull?
I'm trying to, but it's hard without all the texturing and details because it kind of looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like because he doesn't have a nose or anything, right?
Nope.
Yeah. That's the skull.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, there we go.
It looks like one of the bug masks from Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I see it. Okay. So yeah, this was added later because Robbie wanted to know if they could have different skin colors, and I'd say depending on the soil they were birthed from, yes, they can have different shades, but sort of with purple as the constant. Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
All right. So this purple skin and this purple blood, it's sort of been ingrained in Sorbarian society to be indicative of their status as divinely chosen. So they are very full of themselves. Pures were automatically established as great leaders, warriors, demigods of history, warriors if absolutely necessary, workers if absolutely necessary, and most of the time soldiers. Even though most were physically inclined and fanatical, pure brains were no smaller. Pures would even seek intellectual pursuits, and some would become heads of their respective scholarly fields, like science, biology, geography. However, but this was largely looked down upon by the bulk of the pures as a waste of their divine ability and potential. So, a Sorbarian parent, well, I'll get more into that too. But if a pure Sorbarian decided, hey, I'm going to be a scientist, it'd be like, oh, really? Don't you want to be a warrior or something? That's like the best use of your abilities. That's like what we're made to do.
Stick to the status quo.
Yeah, and there very much was a status quo. Pures, however, only made up 7% of the Sorbarian population, which further cemented their belief in exceptionality when compared to the lowly Scorned. Any questions so far?
I don't know if you're at this part of the story yet, but how long ago would you say their extinction was? And would you believe there even could, be remnants of them somewhere, like for other species to discover and try to learn about them?
No. I would say the only remnants possibly around are is the DNA within the Omnitrix. And this happened. Let's see, hold on. Un momento. Sorry.
The blood is purple flurp.
It took place in the local year 10842, which was the Earth year 1529. Was the extinction of their species. So they haven't been around for a minute. Okay. Would you like to start a new layer for the Scorned?
Yeah, let's do it.
One sec. I'm finishing his. Sorry.
It's all good. I'm watching it. Someone said
give him
something
a-
funny, like, "You want to be a scientist?" Kind of cringe, bro.
So yeah, I'm going to get into what caused the extinction. That's probably the biggest story I'm going to tell on this stream today. Is the extinction of the Sorbarian race. No, I don't think I was inspired by Hollow Knight because I made him before Hollow Knight came out, to the best of my recollection. Let's see, what year did Hollow Knight come out? Hollow Knight came out in 2017. I would have made this guy around 2007. The blood is not purple flurp.
Oh,
Life
how
cycle.
would Sorbarians be affected by corrodium?
Ooh, good question. Probably not much because their immune systems are so good. But I'm sure an ample amount of it could do something. All right, want to make a new layer?
Yes, sir. So Sorbarians are one of the rare non-inert transformations that aren't affected by corrodium. I like that.
No, they didn't plagiarize me. They didn't rip me off. Don't say that. It's just the head shape. The horseshoe. I ripped the horseshoe off. How about that? All right. So, once known solely as Sorbarian, the Scorned Sorbarian subspecies retain the characteristics of the first fully sentient Sorbarian evolutions. While their heads held the same horseshoe-like shape as Pures, the tip of their horns would swoop outward in many diverse shapes and directions. So they could go this way, back, forward, down, whatever you feel. Their posture was, for the most part, hunched, and their body structure was frailer by comparison, and it only really allowed for 68% of a Pure's strength and speed. Now, they could only project kinetic energy directly from their sarpoles, and one large proculata on the lower back, exclusively in private for reasons below. Being that Pures shamed Scorn for generations to cover their sarpoles and proculata with clothing while in public, resulting in eventual societal understanding that for Scorned, these are private areas. So Scorned are not allowed to show their sarpoles or proculata in public. They were also forbidden from producing or interacting with SAR in any way, shape, or form outside of their homes. Most likely because pure Sorbarians had this ingrained thing that one day the Scorned were going to rise up and overtake them with their numbers alone.
Gamers rise up.
Yeah. But yeah, the orb between their horns, they had to cover that with a sort of helmet. Which is why I found it so funny that you were doing a beanie thing before, it would be kind of like that.
Canonical hipster scorn. I already forgot how to say it.
Scorned.
No, yeah, scorned. Oh, I was right.
Yeah, ED, scorned. Dunce cap.
Let's see.
So you many wore headbands that sort of ended in like a bit of a Dyson sphere around it in the middle. Some wore helmets that covered their like that covered their entire thing there. Yeah, it's very much pure Sorbarians were very racist. Oh, I'll say that. Okay, so Scorned Blood was cited as one of the fundamental shames of their subspecies by the purists because it ran milky white with a chunky and runny consistency, like spoiled milk. Compared to the blood of pures, it looked disgusting.
Gross, dude. You got that milk blood.
Yeah, that chunky milk blood. Could a Sorbarian survive a black hole? No, definitely not. Those are definitely too much for any Sorbarian, regardless of training. Thank you, Moosey Goosey. Moosey Goosey saying they love how much information I gave them, and it's touching as another OC creator. Yeah, when I go hard, I want to make sure this could have been a real species if they actually existed. But yeah, that would be the clothes they wear, Rob. I would say they're hunched over more, though. They have a bit of a hunchback.
Okay. Maybe maybe that one's trying to blend in.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
So as a result of their milky white blood, they could come in most any color, not just limited to around purple. It all depended on where they were, what soil they were birthed from. Scorned would fill any part of society that pures. Oh, excuse me. It could be any color of the rainbow. However, their skin was often a paler, sicklier shade of that color, just because of the white, the gross-ish white blood. But I shouldn't call it gross. The purists would call it gross.
Yeah, you don't know if any Scorns are watching right now.
Yeah, so, sorry, I don't mean to offend any Scorns watching.
Yeah.
Scorned would fill any part of society that pures deemed unworthy, such as servitude, sanitation, construction, pretty much any other job that really helped build and maintain the infrastructure of Sorbarian civilization. They were the backbone of Sorbarian civilization. However, many Scorned would also pursue intellectual prospects and become leading minds in biology, mathematics, economy, and geography. These positions were prized by the Scorned, as attaining one would most certainly move their position in society upwards from ridiculed to tolerated. Say Albert Einstein was a Scorned, he would be sort of like, yeah, whatever, good job, you're one of the good ones, by like a regular pure citizen. There were many attempts at Scorn rebellion. Many brave Scorned individuals did their best to rally the remaining 93% into revolution, but the rebels' plans were always quashed before they began, due time and time again to the widespread ideals of fear pressured upon the Scorned by pures. Scorned uprising would never successfully come to pass before the planet was wiped out. They deserved better. They really did. You're imagining that. Yeah, interesting, Luna.
Well,
Did the peers have any insults they preferred to use against the Scorned? Curve horns is one of them. Punched. Yeah, that one too, Frankie.
sorry, he's very offensive.
Tell Frankie not to swear on stream.
Frank, how dare you? You can't say that.
So yeah, it was very unfair. Okay, so enough about the Scorned. Sorbarians communicate through sonic vibrations manipulated and produced from the spinning of the hums of their sarpals. So you know how sarpals are constantly rotating? They could manipulate the speed and vibrations of that to bring out a voice. Sort of how we vibrate our vocal cords, they could vibrate their spinning on their sarpals.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Would that be able to be picked up by the universal translators?
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't see why not. It's an audible sound.
Excellent.
The larger their sarpals get, like when they're swelled up from a bunch of energy, the louder they can be. And if their sarpals are weak and small, you can barely hear them at all.
I'm picturing. You ever seen one of those audio? Like, will they'll take the waveforms of audio and just make like a cool visualization out of it? And sometimes there's like this sphere, and like they time it to the music, and it like grows and shrinks. I feel like that'd be cool to see those fluctuate in size.
I pictured it like that. Yeah,
that would be really neat.
Okay, so we might want a new layer for this because you guys are going to have fun with this
New
One sec.
layer. Oh, I like
What
that
are you
guy
having
on
him
there.
say? He's going, woohoo!
No, you're not green.
All right, let's see if there are any questions. Could a Sorbarian survive a black hole or absorb one at the cost of their life? Most likely not. Because they can, if they're not trained enough to match the power of the sun, they will be destroyed by it. So black holes are much stronger than suns, at least to the best of my recollection.
Okay.
What kind of mythologies and religions did they have? Did one predict the end of their planet? I actually didn't get into that. I that will be a question for another day. Yes, Ben. Well, I don't know if it all depends on how sneaky Azimuth was. If Ben has a scorned, if Ben has scorned DNA in the Omnitrix, so I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say Azimuth snuck in some scorned DNA, unbeknownst to the Pures, that allowed them to have their DNA in the Omnitrix in the first place. A child of a Scorn is a Scorn. A child of a Pure is a Pure. And they, I'll say now they reproduce asexually, so it's impossible for the two DNAs to intermingle. All right, new layer.
It's already been made.
Cool. So, Sorbarians were asexual and agender. They reproduced through a form of blastogenesis or budding known as Jan. You just thought of SpongeBob, didn't you, Ryan?
Do what?
You just thought of SpongeBob, didn't you, Ryan?
Why?
Can you reproduce by budding? Can you?
Now I did. Now I can't get it out of my head.
Oh my god, I just thought of the perfect end to draw.
So, if around 27 Sarvs are consistently released under a Sorbarian skin for a full Sorbaria rotation. That means a full, and I'm going to use rotation a lot. But it's a Sorbarian day. It's a Sorbarian rotation, a complete 360 of the planet. So if they did that for a full rotation, a tumor-like sac containing a Sorbarian embryo would fully form on Sorbarian skin. This boil, this sac, would have to be quickly amputated and planted into whatever soil they so choose, preferably in a shady environment or a cave, so that they come out, and they have to be left undisturbed for 5 Sorbarian days, rotations. On the 5th day, if all had gone and developed well, a newborn Sorbarian would emerge from the soil, ready to learn and live. The Sorbarian population was lower than most species because only a powerful and dedicated few could see all these steps to completion. It was tough to be a mama. Very, very tough. And yes, Energuy could do this if he so chose. But it would be very hard because you would need to make specifically that kind of dense vanadium soil to make this possible. How long is that in Earth days? Well, as it's 2.3 times bigger, I would say. I can't do the math in my head right now, but I'll just say a Sorbarian day is the length of 2 3/10 Earth days. Okay. A newborn Sorbarian was exorbitantly celebrated and seen as one of the best of omens because it happened so rarely that one actually was brought up to completion like that. Young Sorbarians learned remarkably quick by instinct and were often raised and taught collectively by the community they were born into. Do you want to do a drawing of Sorbarian hatching from the soil?
Ooh, yeah, I got that.
I pictured I pictured a zombie hand, a la the Evil Dead, sprouting from the soil. Will Albedo have a Sorbarian? Probably, because Azimuth is the one who got the DNA, so it's in there somewhere. How long until the lore is done? Oh boy, buddy, I'm sorry, but lore is the rest of it. I'm almost done with the general facts about the lore, but I still have the story of the fall of Sorbarian society to get to.
Would a baby already have its head fully smoothed out to the rotation?
Yeah, I would say so. Just very, smaller. Like child skulls grow, so too do Sorbarian child skulls. So, Ryan, that's a nice picture. I wish that was at all whatever happened.
Oh, damn.
If only their future.
I'm so sorry, but they don't have any kind of love like that. While the science is honored, I'm sorry, but the lore is going to be going on. So if you like lore, I'm very grateful for you, and if you don't like lore, I'm grateful for your patience. So, While the science is honored, the societal concept of parents was non-existent among Sorbarians. Every Sorbarian saw either as a sibling or not a sibling. The Sorbarian word for sibling is Raho. R-A-H-O. Raho. Here, I'll draw the names. Excuse me.
Rob,
Yeah.
why? I drew a nice scene. Let him live in that moment. How dare you?
Whew. Okay. So, the Sorbarian word for the one that you came from, the one that did this. This guy is called a Raza, like father, Raza, and so that's what this guy would call him. Now, this one would call this one a Zara. In parallel there.
Zara.
And as a result of this, all Sorbarians are related in one way or another. And no matter how distant on the grand bloodline, as they called it, you might have been, you would always treat them as a sibling, for better or worse. You may feel closer to your Raza or Zara. So you can feel closer. This is sort of it, but they never held hands or anything. Or even the Sorbarian Raho that came from your same Raza, which some would call a Zaho. So that would be, if what we would call an actual sibling, they would call a Zaho. But everybody was their sibling. Those are just the closer siblings. Is this all making sense so far?
Yeah, I'm just mesmerized by all of the intricate language that you have this too. Like this is like I'm really picturing this as like a tangible world now.
It is.
Yeah, it sucks that they all died.
Yeah.
But
they sort of had to, unfortunately. Well, they didn't have to. Well, I'll get into that. But it never really changed the sibling dynamic present in all Sorbarians, even if you were genetically closer to one. Everybody was sort of treated the same. Some were just a little bit closer. A good amount of the time, if the Sorbarian wanted their Raho to obey, they would have to force them into submission first. So there was no such thing as do as you're told because I'm your father. The two would fight, and the one who won was the boss for whatever.
so if a newborn, or let's say at least like a very young adolescent Sorbarian fought an adult one and somehow got the best of them, are they now like the dominant one in that relationship?
For the time being, yes, until the other one can beat them.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see why their society is all built on combat then, if like order and respect is based on, winning
Who's the
battles.
strongest?
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to lose to no kid. So
Cillian Stewart says, reminder, defeat the baby.
defeat the baby.
Defeat the baby. Oh boy. So yeah. What do they eat? They don't really eat. They get sustenance from the energy, This whole moment is a Sweet Home Alabama moment. Oh God. There was no inbreeding here. They all did it asexually. All right. So that is how children worked for them. New layer time.
Square up.
old man. Okay.
It's time for a
New layer.
new layer.
No, Sorbarians cannot grow any kind of hair. They learn, a lot of it is instinct, but they are taught by the community, basically. If there is a young one, it was sort of an older one's duty to answer any questions and train them if they felt it was necessary. And of course, if a young one did not want to be trained, they could always fight. But a lot of them learned by losing and losing and losing over and over and over again. All right, new layer.
New layer.
been
We're on
made.
layer 7 now.
Schleven.
Were there non-racist peers? Yes, there were absolutely non-racist peers, but I'm just saying the majority of peer society was racist. Okay. The leadership of Sorbaria was very much a monarchy just for the peers, based solely on a trial of combat known as hold on. Why is it not letting me draw on it? Oh, I see. I have to be on that layer. Sarbal Daga.
Sarbadaga.
Sarbal Daga. That is the name of the trial.
Sorbo.
Sarbal Daga loosely translates to War of Sar to death for us. When the trial is invoked face to face by a peer of high enough status to the Sorbarian monarch, the monarch will either accept or deny. If denied, the monarch forfeits the trial and their life by extension, prompting immediate execution of the monarch by every Sorbarian present in the room.
What?
Lest they forfeit their lives as well.
Must be beaten senseless by every.
If the monarch forfeits, everybody blast him at once. Everybody kill him.
So what's even the point of saying no?
If they know they're going to lose anyway, and they're just not willing to try anymore.
It's just
they're like so old, they're like, screw it, no.
So you're literally just not even worth being a part of their society if you can't fight.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of pressure to be a Sorbarian.
It's brutal.
It's because they're gravity, Rob. It's a lot of pressure.
Haha. Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Those are very heavy implications there.
Now, if accepted, the monarch and the challenger will have one rotation, just one rotation, to prepare themselves and gather their councils. The council of a combatant is two other Sorbarians that they trust and choose to represent them in a debate if extenuating circumstances occur, which is rare, but it still happens, such as disruptions to the trial from no fault of either combatant. So, like, if somebody jumps in the middle and disrupts the trial by the Sarbal Daga, the councils will convene and say, well, do we go on with it or do we postpone it to another day? And what will that look like? What should we do? Now, one rotation of Sorbaria goes by, right? The combatants must then lock eyes at the exact second. One rotation later, after the challenge was issued. So if they do it any sooner or any later, they will both be executed. And this is in an arena of the monarch's choosing. The challenger So here's how it happens now. The challenger will proceed to fire a blast of SAR at the monarch, which the monarch will absorb and fire back. This back and forth must proceed until one of the combatants dies, passes out, or very disgracefully dodges. You cannot dodge it. You have to take it. So it's not even punching. A Sarbaldaga is just a tennis match of throwing energy back and forth like volleyball. And this is the only game of catch you're ever going to get, kid. No playing catch with that unless it's to the death. Now let's see here. If anyone intervenes in the match, absorbing the SAR or otherwise disrupting the trial, the interrupter will be put to death immediately, and the trial will begin anew within one rotation of the interrupter's death. And they must lock eyes the very second one rotation after this disruptor dies. This can happen up to 3 times before the challenger must be put to death along with the interrupter, because it can be suspected if it happens 3 times in a row that it's not a coincidence and the challenger is just preventing the inevitable. If one of the combatants prevents the other from blasting them with SAR by any means deemed deceitful by the 4 council people, they must be put to death. So if they try to cheat in any way, they're a very honorable species. They might be combat focused, but they are very much about honor. If they cheat in any way, they are put to death.
So they just like killing, sounds like, too.
I mean,
they got every
being killed in combat is an honorable death for them. That's for sure.
Now I want a Viking, one of these species.
Now, in the rare event that both combatants fall, the 4 Sorbarian Council people must choose their own councils and start their own Sarbaldaga. And it turns into sort of a tournament at that point. Two fight, and the winners from those 2 do the new Sarbaldaga to see who will be monarch. And they can separate it by their choosing. When only 2 remain, they must enact one final Sarbaldaga to decide the new monarch, which is basically what I just said. A Sarbaldaga would take days, even months, and often attract the full attention of the entire Sorbarian civilization. So, yeah, very like that. I don't know if they had screens or anything. I think they were a bit more Roman than that, but certainly
carving
like
it into wood as it's happening.
Yeah.
They wish they had wood. There are only rocks on it. There's rocks and dirt. No water, just rocks and dirt on this planet, right? You want a dolly? You get a rock.
All right, cool.
You want a tablet? You want a Cintiq? Rock and other rock.
I do not want a Cintiq. I have a Wacom, thank you.
Now, there is also Sarbal Foe, or a play War of Sar. I'll write that down. Sarbal. Oh. Now that is a fake War of Sar where nobody has to die, you know. And
They can, just not have to. It's not required.
Yeah. So exactly. So Sarbal Foe was a common occurrence among youths and enthusiasts, and acted as a sacred planetary pastime for the Sorbarian people. So it was their baseball. Was Sarbal Foe. Where Sarbaldaga is the major leagues, where dying is sure to happen. Sarbal Foe was like, little league and like whatever. So it was so sacred a planetary pastime that even Scorned were allowed to remove their headdresses and play the sport if they so chose. Because you would be, if you're playing against a pure, oh boy. Most of the time, Sarbal would only end when one of the combatants sarped themselves. But it was not unheard of for Sarbal to turn fatal. In fact, it was accepted. The majority of Sorbarian society agreed that if you died from a measly game of foe, you did not, and this is a quote, deserve the sights you see or the sar you sup.
So you have to be really good at this game, or else you're not even respected.
Yeah.
Get good or get dead.
Yeah, if you're challenged at it. If you stay away from Sarbal all your life.
Why is Perch Perkins there?
He's wherever the excitement
An exciting Sarbal is happening today.
It just felt appropriate.
Leave it, I like it. Wait a second, now he needs one thing.
There was, yes, that is a good question, Capital Winnisberry. They asked, what would happen if by chance a Scorn beat a Pure? That only happened once, and the Scorn was immediately put to death for heresy.
Oh my god. For heresy?
A Scorn killing a Pure? That's
I know.
That's like absolutely not okay in Pure society anyway. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. Perch Perkins is there. Death is not required, but I highly recommend it. The pioneers used to ride these babies for centuries. Man, you got the new boulder. Man, all I got for my birthday was Pebble. Oh boy. Alrighty, so and yeah, many variations of this sport were really the only sport playable on the planet due to the immense gravity. Any balls brought there from other planets would pop immediately because of just how awful the gravity was. Yep. And that is the end of the general facts of lore for the Sorbarian people. Which means, Rob, we get to show once Ryan, it's time to show the drawing of Energuy that I drew when I was 20.
Version dose.
Version 2.0.
Here we go. So so I'm gonna throw up the original first, just for comparison. Here it is, everybody. Just another quick reminder.
Ryan, I would say that you don't have to change it, but I would say the horns are more of a rounded thing. There's no that looks more like Lodestar, where there's like an inner thingy.
I know. I'm just having fun doodling. I'm sorry.
No, for sure. I think it's round all the way around. I'm just saying it for the audience. Okay, so.
Here's version number 1, which we've seen, and version number 2 is coming at you right now. So there's a little bit of a change in costume we can see.
You can see that his tail nails are growing in nicely there, and but the spikes sort of stay in the same place. Here, hold on, it's not updating for me. Let me just look at it myself. Yeah, more spikes grew, and yeah, just sort of a costume update. And the horns,
they look a little taller.
Grew a bit taller. Yeah, so this would be Cairo Baxter at season 10 in my story.
Season numero 10.
Yeah. So I am going to go to the bathroom really quick, and then we will get into the demise of Sorbaria, the Zaho's deadlock.
Sounds good. All right, so while we wait, I'll just transition. I'll throw the draw pile back on. So how you feeling about all this lore, Mr. O.R. Ash?
I like it. As people know, I'm very much into the various lores of all different species and everything. So I'm having a blast with this. Especially getting to like draw along with it is very fun.
Yeah, I like it's fun to try to improvise some visuals for this. It's like making the experience of learning the lore more interactive. I also think that, you know, it just sucks that they're all dead. Like, I think maybe an interesting...
This could be such a cool thing for, like, if Ben went to this planet at some point and had to do the trial of combat.
Exactly. There's got to be, like, some type of time travel sort of element. Like, if there ever was to be an episode revolved around here, it would be interesting to see the characters, like, actually there during that day. Maybe for some reason there's something on the planet that they need. Or perhaps, I don't know, Ben just wants to learn more about his transformation. I'm sure there's some type of plot you can build around, some type of motivation to go back in time to this planet. But yeah, I mean, it's very intricate. We know all about the atmosphere. We know all about the location of the planet between two suns. We know how the Sorbarians have a hierarchy between the two different general classes.
The fact that they're willing to just kill all.
Yeah, the murder happy horseshoe people. That's that's how you could sum it up pretty much.
The happy horseshoe people.
Yeah.
The hungry horseshoe.
The hungry horseshoe people. I like that.
Now I'm just imagining their giant head as like an open mouth. Just,
Okay. So, I heard a little bit of that. You guys were saying Ben could go back in time and do a Sarbaldaga.
Yeah, just because I feel like there's all of this interesting lore that if it were to somehow be possible for this to like be incorporated into the series, or even if we did something with 5YL, it's just so intricate and detailed. I feel like it'd be missing out not to experience it firsthand.
That could be a fun side project comic for 5YL.
Yeah.
If you ever want to do that.
Yeah, there's gotta be something we can do with it.
That.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's time for layer number 8.
Yes. Layer number 8.
8.
Layer number 8. Okay. So, you know all about the society now.
Yes.
Now, would you like to hear about how it all ended, audience?
The grand this is what it's all been building up to.
the grand demise.
The grand demise.
Is it like... All right. The final Sarbaldaga that ever took place on Sorbaria has come to be known throughout the universe as... That's right, Frankie, as Zaho's Deadlock. It took place in the local year 10842, Earth year 1529. So back during the medieval ages or something. No, that doesn't seem right.
What was happening in 1529?
Wasn't that around the time that George got a sword?
That was one. That was like 113 something.
I'm dyslexic.
I don't remember. When did old George get the sword?
Old sword got his George.
I didn't.
I made a whole timeline video and I don't even remember it. That was like, almost 4. Yeah. All right, old George. Oh wow. No, that's not. All right, he was 1,780 years old when he died. So let's do 2010 minus that. Old George 230. No, that's not right. I don't know. It doesn't matter how this relates to George, I guess. Yeah. But Earth year was 1529.
Yes.
So. Yep.
Here we go. The current monarch at the time, Novma Pureblood. Novma Pureblood, named for the sun. One of the sons, anyway. Novma Pureblood. Oh, that should be a capital M. Sorry, my handwriting's awful. I'm writing with a mouse. I don't have a tablet. Okay. The current monarch at the time, Novma Pureblood, had reigned for almost 6 Sorbarian years after taking the throne from their Raza, Vavardi Pureblood. Vavardi.
Would like the royalty wear like special caps or something on the tips of their horns? Like
That's a good question. No, not on the tips. They would have 2 royal bands around their horns, known as I forget what they were called. Some kind of crowns. Frankie. Novma was widely. Yeah. So. Oh no, not across. Two twin ones, one on each crown, like that. So Novma was widely respected for fabled mastery over their Tsar, their immense strength, their tactical prowess, and the feat of becoming the youngest official monarch in Sorbarian history at 24-year-old. The youngest official monarch in Sorbarian history at 24 Sorbarian years old. This would later be. This would be construed by Sorbarian historians as a sign of the time's ending, because nobody had ever done it that young before. So for whatever reason, they thought that was demonic. Novma was kind and welcoming to other races if they wished to attempt tourism, as some had the technology to withstand Sorbaria's gravity. They even welcomed Asmith as a royal guest for a time, and contributed their own Sorbarian DNA, pure Sorbarian DNA, to the Omnitrix. However, much to the chagrin of their, is it chagrin of their fellow peers, they were. Nova, they were an advocate for scorned rights, wishing for their equality and a, quote, fair shot for anyone to rule. This prompted much pushback from their pure Raho, set in stone in their ways. They were challenged time and time again, but was never once close to fell, and never once enjoying seeing one of their dear Raho slain because of their belief in supremacy. So Novma was very strong, and Novma did not like slaying their siblings. Nov had a chaotically good morality. Like on the chart, he was chaotically good. They had a ingrown thing that they needed to do right by people, and that drove them to blind rage at times, just how much they wanted to do good by people. They started to resent their position of power for this reason, feeling a hypocrite fighting for equality from their throne, you know?
So, yeah, sorry, I don't want to throw off your flow, yeah.
No, you're good. You have a question?
I'm trying to picture a way to phrase it, but I feel like you're about to answer it with where the story's going.
Yeah.
I don't want to just
probably.
ask okay, then what? But you're probably about to tell me.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
So yeah, he felt like a hypocrite because he wanted equal rights, and yet he was the 1%. Novma couldn't even use their power to do what they most wanted to do, and outright decree equal rights for the Scorned, because all the Pures would surely lash out against Novma all at once and kill them and take the Scorned rights back immediately. So not even their head commander, their best of friends, their twin Zahum, Penma Pureblood. Yes, they had a twin named Penma Pureblood. there's Zaho. So not even Penma was on Novma's side when it came to justice for the Scorned. So yeah, we can break real quick. Let's see here.
I like that outfit you're giving him right there, Ash.
Yeah, me too.
That's very cool.
Thank you.
In canon, it would be more armored, but I love the shape. If Ben ever went there, he would go, oh my god, no, my boss, and would result in 17 different war crimes against Earth. Oh boy. What other peers called Novma Scornblood as an insult, in Whispered Breath, they would call him Scorn Lover.
Scorn Lover.
Novma Scorn Lover. That was sort of how they insulted him. How many Earth years is How many Earth years is a Sorbarian year? Well, let's do the math here. If an Earth year is 365, and that's 1 day each, let's times that by 2.3. So that would be 839 and a half Earth days is a Sorbarian year. Yeah, Ben would still have to train because it can't be that kind of training can't be hard coded. It's sort of a mental and physical and spiritual thing.
What would you say comes naturally to Ben when accessing Energuy?
Those abilities, and there is one specific base for all Sorbarian combat. I would say he instinctually knows that sort of acrobatic combat, which is similar to Black Widow's combat in the MCU movies.
Oh, like all the twisting around and like kicks
and acrobatics
and
stuff. Yeah,
that's cool. So Ben is pretty good at finagling his transformations abilities, how Arborian Pelorotas aren't really offensive creatures, but Ben uses him offensively. So would you say there's anything that Ben might be able to do that's not naturally done by these species with Energuy?
Wouldn't naturally be able to do
well, not wouldn't naturally, they just wouldn't think of it. Like Arborian Pelorotas aren't combative creatures from what we know of them.
Right. I would have to think on that. That's a good question, though. Could you sketch Penma Pureblood real quick? He looks just like Novma, except in more of a commander's armor and without the crowns.
Yeah, I'll do that one.
Cool. So, Pen and Nov had been close since birth, literally. They were born from the same soil, a couple of centimeters from each other. Pen hatched first by nearly half a rotation, a point they would hold over for Nov for all of their life. So, yeah, half a day, or a whole day in Earth years, Pen is older than Nov. They were named after the twin stars of Jabata, Monarch Vivardi's twins, they felt, were just as bright and twice as fiery. Pen used their half-rotation head start well, learning how to project their very first Sarblast on the very day they were born, a milestone the average Sorbarian newborn couldn't accomplish for around a week or two. So, yes, very much a savant. The young one was uniquely gifted, covetous of control, and hungry for power from the moment they laid eyes on the twin Chrysaorchium crowns adorning Vivardi's horns, exemplifying their status as monarch. So yeah. As Pen and Nove grew, so too did the Zahuli bond, as opposed to brotherly Zahuli bond they shared. Whenever Nove fell, Pen was there to pick them back up. However, Pen would always be a bit stronger, a bit faster, a bit quicker to learn, and this frustrated, kind, emotional Nove under the surface. The Zaho's rivalry was far more bitter than the picture painted by known history. The two would reportedly get into savage arguments, usually brought on by Pen's control freak nature, which would escalate into ferociously violent brawls that lasted days without resolution. But in the end, their love for each other would always bring their Zahohood bounding back together. At the age of 20, Penma would use their status as the direct descendant of the monarch to challenge his Raza for the throne the young warrior so prized. Vivardi heartily accepted, ever proud of their spawn and eager for the bout. Pen chose Nove as their counsel. Nove, however, was torn inside between wanting their Zaho to be happy and not wanting them to die. And that would be one of the motivations that drove Novma's coming actions. Any questions so far?
No, I think I'm following pretty well.
Anything?
Ash, how you feeling? You've been a little quiet lately.
I mostly keep muting my mic because dog and child and stuff screaming in the background, so apologies.
You're good. I do want to hear your thoughts, though.
No, this is very interesting so far.
I like that we're getting characters now. Like, it's not just the general population of the Sorbarians. Like, now we're knowing, like, their history and, like, notable figures in their climate. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yes, so Novma is the monarch at the start of it, but I take it back to when they were kids.
Gotta have the flashback episode.
Yeah, I start with the flash forward and then go to present. And guys, I really appreciate you guys coming. I'm not going to answer any voice acting questions today, unfortunately. This stream is all about the lore of my alien. So thank you for respecting that. I really appreciate it.
I'm almost done the design for this one. So since you said this one's more of like, you know, like heavier warrior armor, I figured freeing up their legs so that they can move around and have more flexibility might help their combat, since like it's very acrobatic based, as you said.
There is no wildlife. Sorbarians are the sole species on the planet. If there is any wildlife, they're pretty much stomped out immediately, because none of the pures want any species to evolve and overtake them. Yes, they can die of old age, but it takes longer as they are vanadium-based creatures. Does the monarch have any other responsibilities? Just leading everything, same as a king.
I put a little spelling correction in the chat. It's basically energy and guy.
Energuy.
Put together. Yeah, Energuy.
Thank you.
He puts the U in energy.
What would his species think of the Trojans? They wouldn't think anything of them. They're so superior, they wouldn't even see them.
Ben is the worst. Just like, hey, I'm down here.
It's a bit Romulus Remus, I'd say, but yeah, no glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so On the day of the Sarbaldaga between Penma Pureblood and their Raza Vivardi, Vivardi was nowhere to be found, which was, of course, punishable by death, as I said before. A grand search began, combing all of Sorbaria for the lost monarch, possibly turned coward. They were finally found in a local ore processing plant, twitching and writhing on the ground. The middle-aged Sorbarian had suffered from a minor seizure, a side effect from their now diagnosed Ryderax disease, which is a neurological disorder that would slowly eat away at Vivardi's brain, starting from the lobe that controls the healing abilities.
Oh.
Yeah. Signaling a number to the poor monarch's days. In a fit of confliction, Penma proclaimed that this was not the fault of Vivardi, and that taking their life in this state would be a dishonor on us all. So Novma agreed and argued as Penma's counsel to Vivardi's counsel that the Old One had earned the right to a warrior's death, and that the Sarbaldaga should be delayed to a day when medical science has done all it can. The love for the monarch prevailed, and Penma Pureblood would take over as temporary monarch while Vivardi healed. So, at this point, this guy is Temp King.
And then he gets the bands.
Yes. A Tale of Two Kings. Now, 4 Sorbarian years since Vivardi's diagnosis would pass. Temporary monarch Penma Pureblood off-world to Luastapa for an alliance hearing with Pulsor leadership would reluctantly leave Novma in charge of Sorbaria. Did you hear that, Rob?
Wait, Pulsor, is that Slampede?
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah,
I love how intermingled this is now with the 5YL universe.
Pulsors are in my universe as well. I took them in.
You could you can take anything you want into your your world.
Yeah, but yes, this would be the 5YL version of events. Penma was off on a diplomatic mission on Luastapa, hoping to form an alliance. Or rather, Pulsors were the ones who wanted an alliance with the Sorbarians because, they anyone trying to seek help of other species, any pures trying to seek that help, it wasn't really looked well upon by the other pures. However, if they were praised adequately enough by another species, then perhaps.
No.
So they were off on this journey, and reluctantly left Novma in charge as temporary monarch in their stead. Now, the reluctance was absolutely not on Novma's leadership, but the relinquishing of the political power Penma had come to be addicted to. Penma didn't want to give away his new toy, you know? So it was all Pen could do to stay patient for the glorious day when they could shed the temporary from their title. Still, they knew that Novma would do the demi-monarch proud while they were away, and they were right. Temporary monarch Novma Pureblood took quite well to their position, terrified as they were. This temporary monarch's reign was noticeably less authoritarian and tyrannical than Penma's. So Penma was a bit of a tyrant, a bit of a control freak, even in their ruling policies. Novma was more a monarch of the people, if such a thing had yet to exist. Novma was now the concept, if such a thing had yet to exist, Novma was now the concept's Raza. So he had birthed it. The young pureblood was settling a dispute between a scorned factory worker and their pureblood boss when the doors to the Dome Palace flew open. Zara! Roared the monarch Vavardi pureblood, eyes the color of scorned blood. The day has come! After 4 long years, our destined duel will finally be realized, Raho! I invoke Sarval Daga!
Dun dun dun!
Now at this point, I'll say, countless thoughts and emotions stormed and flurried about Novma's suddenly panicking mind. The rightful monarch, recovered to full strength, but evidently not full eyesight, had just challenged the wrong Zara to trial by combat. To the death. A trial that cannot be refused upon punishment of death.
Oh.
Cannot be escaped before tomorrow upon punishment of death. A trial, regardless of the outcome, will result in Novma's death. Either Vavardi had to slay Novma on the battlefield, or Penma will slay them when they find out they've been usurped. Uh-oh, indeed. Betrayed by the one that loves them most, destiny denied, dishonored. How could I do that to my only Zaho? And then, an ugly question emerged, like a tiny bubble in this swamp of anxiety. I could be a better leader, a kinder one. Bubble. I could change this world into a free one. Bubble, bubble. Free the poor, scorned, cursed from birth. For they are created the way they are, but for that reason they are too defined because they were created that way. Bubble, 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 bubble. Penma, I love them, but they won't understand. They don't understand. Must I watch my family die? Must I stand idly by and watch Zaho kill Raza? Bubble, 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 bubble. Raza kill Zaho? Bubble, 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 bubble. Or do I finally follow Pen's example and control fate?
Things are hating. I love how this is turning into like a dramatic storytelling. Like I'm starting to get invested. I feel like I listen to a lot of like audiobooks and podcasts and stuff when I draw now, and like now I just feel like this is another story that I get to listen to as I draw. I'm in it. Sorry to break your flow. Keep going.
And then he thinks, yes, I will do this myself. I accept your invocation, old one. 1 rotation from now, your eyes will meet your Zaras in the battlefield. No disease will keep us from destiny. The words flowed from Novma like the blood they would soon spill. The echoes of Vavardi's hearty guffaw would haunt Novma for the next rotation. And we have a little break.
So we have a battle scheduled up in 1 rotation, initially with the wrong opponent, but now the thoughts of the success of this battle is corrupting
his need, his absolute need to do right by life.
Right in perspective of how these creatures operate in the first place, which is pretty violent compared to a lot of species.
Yep. Okay.
I like that little doodle you got there, Ash.
Which one?
Ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it. Make a new layer.
New layer.
Yeah, new layer.
Sorry.
Yeah, new layer.
New layer. Okay.
Penma pureblood walked down the ramp of the Royal Fleet's ship. They were back, but Sorbaria felt alien. They heard no sound but the ringing in their head. A solid, high-pitched, grating squeal. Monarch Novma Pureblood approached Penma, but they did not hear the blood-soaked Sorbarian's frantic words. It was all Penma could do to nod and put on a brave face as this demon, this betrayer, groveled in front of them. Penma had never felt a rage quite so blindingly white, hot, so paralyzing that they could not even let loose a molecule of the pressure building and boiling within them. In this moment, Penn knew one truth. Their Nove was dead. They had no Zaho. Before them only stood their greatest curse. This curse that had fooled Penma into loving them. And then when their back was turned, took away Penma's one purpose in life. Both of their loves, with a single utterance, gone. And so Penma Pureblood would vow then and there, this curse would suffer. This was the day that Penma had longed for. Endless hours of training his Sar and body were finally about to be put to purpose. This curse, in its foolishness, had decreed that Pure and Scorned would no longer be. That we will all be equal. And though Penma had forced the monarch's hand, had fooled feeble-minded Novma into believing that they still had a Zaho, and that Zaho was on their side, Penma would never, ever let this fantasy of animals at the dinner table come to pass. On the balcony of the Dome Palace, as the monarch made their address for a new age, the head commander cried, "You would damn us all, chosen and forsaken! You would deface the defined plan we all know sacred and true for your despicable, unholy plot to drag us all down! I will not allow you, demon! I disown you! You have no Zaho! You have no Raho! And it is my solemn duty to make you hear the words, I invoke Sarbaldaga!" Silence. 50,000 beings in one place, once impassioned, screaming, scandalized, hopeful, crying, outraged, jubilated, livid. Now all unmoving, mute, paralyzed, and most of all was the good monarch Novma Pureblood. The history books would remember this day, and not for the reason Novma had dreamt of. The words started to seep out of the ruler's sarple one by one, emotionless. I accept your invocation. And though you have killed me already, Pen, I swear one final oath to you. I will not fall. The beginning of the end commenced on the field next to the cave where the Zaho were born. Seemed only fitting. ended all where they began. Penma shot first. Days passed, then months. The entire planet was enamored. This was turning into the fiercest Sarbaldaga that any Sorbarian had ever seen. Never before had there been two combatants so powerful, so equally matched, but so stubborn, so dead set on beating one another. As months turned into years, society would return to an uneasy norm. The Zaho would remain locked in their daga, their Sar still growing larger by the day, their shouts of and I tried to save you, and as ambiance in the background of Sorbarian life.
You clipped out a little bit right there.
Oh, sorry. They screamed, "I loved you, and I tried to save you, and I will never stop," basically. Their council would switch out and take over monarchical duties while the intense brawl raged on. A decade passed. The masses started to worry. The G-force of the Zaho's SAR blasts were starting to affect the operation of local technologies. That powerful. Specialists were starting to worry that the size and immensity of the battle would cause serious collateral damage if the Zahos lost control. Petitions piled in for the council to stop them or relocate them, but the rules were always recited back. If one intervenes in the match, absorbing the SAR or otherwise disrupting the trial, the interrupter will be put to death, and the trial will begin anew within a rotation of the interrupter's death. No one wanted... What?
Sorry, Drawpile just did something real weird.
Yeah, it just did that to me too. It just turned on every single layer at once, but I got it fixed on my end.
Sorry.
It's cool. If one intervenes in the match, absorbing the SAR or otherwise disrupting the trial, the interrupter will be put to death, and the trial will begin anew within the rotation of the interrupter's death. No one wanted to pointlessly die for the eventuality of coming right back to this. So, and one day, Novma destroyed a factory. They obviously didn't mean to. It was just in the way. 1,784 dead, even more injured. The council tried to step in, but they were vaporized. It was too late. The pair of Zaho had turned feral, and they were going to destroy anything that got in the way of destroying each other. People tried to flee in what little Sorbarian spaceships there were, but the gravity of these huge SAR blasts, now the size of moons, was too great. The ships were pulled right back into the ground by gravity, hard. They tried to kill the Zaho with their strongest warriors and weapons, but it only made the Zaho stronger. One final gambit. A Sorbarian ark. They finished building this gigantic beast within 5 years and filled it with every pure remaining, along with whichever Scorned could fit and coach. The ark actually escaped Sorbaria's atmosphere, only to be sucked back in by the gravity of Pen. The star, not the Sorbarian. Some say it was an error made in haste. Some say it was a sabotage by a crazy, vengeful, Scorned engineer to get rid of all the Pures once and for all. History will never know for sure. All that's known from observation is that event brought down the population of Pures to 2. Another decade would pass. The last Scorn would be vaporized. Sorbaria would be in pieces at this point. There would be no end in sight for the battle between these two ruthless, tameless, mindless beasts. Though Sorbaria was the only planet in the Jabata system, all species in the Banthi galaxy would be evacuated and temporarily relocated by the Galactic Enforcers and other space volunteers while the situation played out. The Sorbaria situation was the working name for this battle at the time. It didn't stick. Other species had only just learned of the battle because Jabata was so many light years away from the nearest system, and the nearest system hadn't seen the flashes from the fight until 50-ish years later, even with their advanced technology. Light years. Side note, at this point, the Pulsars had silently nullified their previously negotiated alliance with the Sorbarians and had made a statement of speaking out against the violence on the extranet. It was their most liked post. One more decade passed. Sorbaria was now a collection of pebbles and space dust. The two Zaho floated between the two stars they were named for, unbothered by the ludicrous amount of gravity pounding their bones and the vacuum of space that begged to tuck their atoms apart. One final volley of Sar, one last gargantuan orb of pure energy that was just big enough to classify as a tiny star of its own. No one saw who threw the last punch. In the end, it doesn't really matter. It had been over for years. But with this one, the gods, beyond a shadow of the doubt, had had enough. The gravity of the Sar was finally enough to beckon Nove and Pen, the stars, inward towards Nove and Pen, the Sorbarians. And like a pair of cosmic hands clapping together on a pesky gnat, the twin stars collided on the last two living Sorbarians, collapsed, and went supernova. Boom. Big boom. Long boom. And then, nothing. A 60-year Zaho's deadlock, an extinct race, a destroyed galaxy, and potential residual radiation still, to this day, coursing throughout Venti. All for nothing. And that's Zaho's deadlock.
Oh my, this was exhilarating. I'm not gonna lie. Like this, honestly, like I love the story, but I'm also just really impressed with the way like you presented it too. Like I started throwing, you'll be able to hear this when you watch it back, but I couldn't play it for you. But I started throwing on some like music to try to set the tone for this more and like theme out your presentation. So it's like playing to like some dramatic music and everything. It's like it's so good.
You.
Ash, I'll let you talk first. I've been kind of throwing my comments out a lot. How do you feel about the narrative of this?
Like you just said, for one, I got wrapped into it at one point and forgot to draw because it was so cool. That's part of why I've just been drawing this one shot for the last couple minutes. Dude, like legitimately, it's so cool. I love the story that you've made. It all flows together really well and creates such like a cool yet tragic series of events that just seeing it animated in my head, at least, I'm just like, oh my god, no.
It's tragic.
It's so good though.
Yeah, I definitely think there was a benefit to like really hammering home all the lore, like starting with like this is how their planet is, this is how their species works, because now that way we can like apply all of that knowledge to the story itself, whereas I don't think it would have worked as well without knowing all of this. So it was like a journey through through the whole history of the Sorbarians, and yeah, I like this. I kind of want to like do a little bit more of like elaborate designs for the two main Sorbarians. I feel like they're noteworthy characters.
I feel like one day we should make this into a comic. Zaho's Deadlock.
Yeah, Zaho's Deadlock.
That'd be awesome.
It would be really cool if we I don't want to drop this ball right here on the stream, but we were talking a little bit about a method of doing side stories is all I will say publicly, and I feel like this would be perfect for that.
I know what you're talking.
Yeah,
I would adore that.
Yeah, this something like this is exactly like what that idea would be made for. So if we were ever able to like sit down and make that happen, this should definitely be on that list.
Yes, so White Wolf, all this lore, I have typed out all this lore for the wiki and in the Wikipedia, or excuse me, the 5YL wiki format. So this will all be readable again. Wonderful.
We can even make a whole page for the Deadlock, like so that we can have a page for Energuy and all of the biology, all of the powers, how everything works on a species sense, and then when it comes to their history and the tale of the lore, I wouldn't even mind like having a whole separate page for that, just like to make it a little bit more categorizable, because we do have some event pages as well. We have like different pages that like recap like Eon's campaign and the Battle of Bellwood and all of that. This would definitely fit in with those.
Yeah,
man, this is I'm excited for this now. This is like my own
step
wiki.
away for 1 second. I'm sorry.
No problem,
okay.
Man. Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
how
aren't you glad that I didn't tell you guys this beforehand?
That-
you got your.
that was my
Yeah,
next point. I was
consider-
gonna say like I'm glad I didn't know this going in. That I mean, it definitely made it more enjoyable for me to find out this way, but also like, it's like the whole thing. Honestly, like I'm at a loss for words right now because I have drawing brain right now. You know, I have to switch back into. I have to actually form words now. But yeah, no, I'm glad you didn't tell me about this in advance. I think this was definitely the way to do it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. How long was well, I know the like some new editions like the Pulsars and everything like that had to have been like somewhat recent. But how long has the main lore and the story of these characters also been around with you? Has this been around since Energuy as well?
Not since the initial. I'd say I wrote all this about 3 years ago. But I had to rewrite it actually maybe a week ago because I can't find the my original telling of the Zaho's Deadlock, which was originally called Battle of the Bloods, but I kind of like this better. But yeah, no, it's been circulating for a while, and I want to say thank you, Rob and Ryan, who isn't here right now, but thank you guys for helping me bring this to life, and thank you, chat, for listening to this all the way through and for being interested in this. I really appreciate it, and I'm touched that something that I created is this well received. To that point, I think we should reward them for their patience.
Oh, is it time for the
I think it's time.
official 5YL Energuy?
The official 5YL Energuy.
All right.
I got back just in time.
You got back just in time. So let's transition back to the other layout. So once again, we have the original Energuy here. We have updated Energuy right here, and now we're finally at the revelation of why we put this together in the first place. The 5YL official art of Energuy.
Yes.
And here he is. So we spent a lot more time on this design that you might think.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot, like right down to the head shape. Like I played around with like 4 or 5 different head shapes, you know, trying to add that signature like angular type of shape to it, but it was very important for it to be very smooth for the character.
In fact, the inspiration for Scorned horns, the description of those came from your initial art of Energuy with the swooped back horns.
Oh, yep. Yeah, we were trying to picture like maybe angling them outwards, angling them back. We did a whole bunch of things.
We wanted to make it different from Lodestar, and we were experimenting with that. But I think he's different enough.
Yeah, no, so here's Energuy. This is the official 5YL version, so
yes.
Yeah, he's part of the crew now. Playlist number 25.
He is Alien 250.
Yep. Exactly 205. No, 250. 250.
250.
250. Yeah. Numbers are numbers.
Yeah, I just want to thank you again, Rob, because I was so freaking picky with this design. I nitpicked everything, and you stayed so patient with it, and I think it turned out really good.
Thank you, man. I honestly respect a lot of people who are like very persuasive for what they want, because sometimes I'll get commissions where like people will tell me to just wing it, so I do, and then only then do they realize like what they truly want by seeing an example of something. And we designed this in a call, and I feel like the benefit of that was like you were there like every line stroke. Sometimes like we'll be like, let's make the orbs slightly smaller, or let's change the texture of the suit from, you know, this and that. He's actually got two different suit textures on there, on his pants and his feet. You'll see it without all the energy effects on the wiki. He has like the flat matte looking black spandex, as well as the shiny armored black textures.
And we struggled with the hands for a bit. We had a whole finished version of him with these weird nail cuff thingies, but in the end I was like, Rob, you're gonna hate me. It was like coloring them. You're like, yeah, like I hate them. Can we just go to pointy fingers? You're like, okay.
Yeah, that I'll admit that was a little tricky to just undo. I think I just ended up redoing the whole hand from scratch. But yeah, you'll see the texture on his tail. That was originally on his fingers and toes. In fact, the shape of the tail itself also went through a bit of trial and error.
Yeah, and the feet too. The feet, if you want to pull up the original Energuys, the feet were originally like this sort of sock outwards shape, but we couldn't really get that to work with the 5YL art style that well. So we ended up going for a bit more of a. I said I wanted him to be able to like be constantly on his toes, and he took that literally.
Yep. Yeah. With the 5YL art style, it kind of just made his feet look a little bit like socks filled with jelly. I guess would be an interesting comparison, but I'm very happy with his result.
You can see the concept of Sangrelada weren't even a thing in my previous designs. We sort of made that for this design, and I integrated that a bit more into the species biology from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's complimenting the color scheme. Yeah, even that, like, Kellen was sending me straight up hex codes and stuff. Be like, try this color, try this color.
Literally color hex codes. Like, I can't describe it. Just, I think I looked up, oh man, there were so many references throughout the creation of this guy. I looked up, like, the color of a hibiscus or something, or, what was it called?
Hibiscus, the
was
purple
it a
flower.
hibiscus?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, let me scroll up and see some of them. Yeah, no, it was and then like I put a bunch of like crystal balls in like their holders. Like that's what the tail should look like, and then it ended up looking by no fault of anybody's. It ended up looking a bit like Mantibolt's tail for a bit. So I'm like, what if we gave him longer nails to scratch with? And that ended up looking really good.
Yeah. Speaking of Mantibolt, let's run through a couple of the other 5YL characters.
Sure.
Just to recap reference. So the first alien we actually created not created. The first alien I did for you was Mantibolt right here, which is one of the two original aliens we actually animated and you voiced in a video that is linked down below in the description You'll see it. It's Kellen voicing Mantible, Bulwark, and Accelerate. That's the text for the description. So he was part of this big catalog of transformations that you were graceful enough to show us the secretive Goff archives.
You guys are never going to see every alien that I've created because there's like over 300 and a lot of them suck.
He has them so nicely organized too. Like, I will say that. Like,
Evernote's great for that. Shout out to Evernote.
Yeah, the respect I guess you have for your own work. If I could phrase it like that without it being an egotistic thing, I guess it's just like the care you put into it. Like, you're not just like, this is good enough, where a lot of people really cut corners. I do that myself, absolutely. But it really comes off. Like, you can tell everything you make, there's so much thought and heart put into all of these characters and their lore, their designs, and I think that's the perfect example on why, like, creating like OCs and everything, specifically with Ben 10, is so important. Is it's endless creativity.
Thank you.
Yeah, like it's very hard to do something in Ben 10 that actually like breaks the universe at this point. So it's so liberating to be able to create an alien, and like the way that you do it, your method and the way you go about it, I really like.
Yeah, I want to make it at least like pseudoscience. Like I take inspiration from Ryan for this. I want to make it make sense in some logical way, one way or another.
That pseudo sci-fi bullshittery that I pull all the time.
And if we gotta make up an element to do it, fine. But at least we can detail how the nervous system works.
I feel like that would be a good T-shirt, just like a shirt that just says pseudo sci-fi bullshit on it.
I buy it.
I'm
be
gonna
good.
design that right after this.
Pseudo
Actually,
sci-fi
that sounds
bullshit.
really cool.
I like that. So Mantibolt and the next one was Bulwark. He kind of came in around the same time. They were created for that project. And I really liked Bulwark. Out of the two, I feel like I enjoy drawing Mantibolt more, but I feel like I'm more fascinated with the creativity of Bulwark between the two.
Yeah, no, Bulwark's fun too. The name came first for that one. How can I make that happen?
Yeah.
A shield cow.
The shield cow.
Wall cattle, as the natives call.
And of course, as y'all can see on screen, if you want to know more of the intricate details, the 5-way wiki is basically like the holy database for all of these transformations, including this very. I'm at a loss for words to describe it, so let's just throw it on screen. Mr. Slobby Bobby here.
Oh, Slobberage.
Oh, Slobberage.
Slobberage.
Slobberage is awesome.
Yeah, how would you describe this alien?
So Slobberage, he can make different types of spit. And each color corresponds to a different chemical reaction it can have with whatever it touches, whether it be healing effects, corrosive effects, combustible stuff, healing. Did I say healing all right? Or just plain sticky. But yeah, he's a bit of a penguin with mouths for hands. A penguin squid, I'd call him.
I picture this thing like this is the one thing you wouldn't want to see running at you in a dark hallway.
He just
Picture him crawling towards you like Ursula at the height of Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Now, out of all the aliens I've done for you, I feel like aside from Energuy, the one that rivals the most intricacy that you put into the design, like the nitpicking, if you will, would be Tourniquet. I remember we experimented a ton with him to really get this one right.
And I love him, but I'm still not even completely satisfied with that color for this.
We tried every single color. I think we even tried gray.
We tried colors until you're like, I gotta go to bed, Kellen. At this point, I think I would just want it, if we did it over ever, I would just want it like transparent gray.
Yeah, I mean, I can still even update it. Like, until a transformation actually appears in the comic or any, like, official project, their design is very flexible. And even then, like, I changed Accelerate a little bit, and then for the recalibrated version, I just went back and changed it. So, you know, we're always free to update them here and there if needed. I
think gray or red would work better.
I'm 90% sure I have the original file, but if not, you know, I can just like select the blue hue and slide it. You know, that should be fine. So one that we actually made together, which design wise, like we got the idea down a lot easier than some. It was the literal act of drawing it, which was quite the journey. Was Dental Dam.
I put you through your paces, don't I?
You could say it took tooth and nail.
Oh, it took every tooth and every nail I had.
Rob did not like making. I think halfway through the tail, I was like, "You don't have to do this if you don't want." You're like, "No, I'm this far. I'm making the entire tail out of teeth."
Yeah. If I commit to something, I'll do it. And then the shiny fur texture was a tricky way to figure out that method. On top of like the splotches, the green splotches, like he's something, all right.
Yeah, but you can't say I don't challenge you to be a better artist. Huh?
No, definitely not. Every time I draw something for you, I know it's not like I can't just. There's no half-assing when it comes to Kellen's Aliens. You got to give it your all.
It's me, Rob. I am your deadlock. I am your challenge.
Yes.
Your Sarbaldaga.
You keep me on my toes. You make sure that I'm never done learning. And yeah, and that all concludes with your OC right here, season 20.
Yeah. Well, there's Isodope somewhere in there.
Oh right, Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I totally forget Isodope?
You're good.
Yeah, Isodope's in
He's
there.
so small, you just missed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Isodope.
Isodope, yep.
Zeptombic size. I had to look up a Wikipedia page for something smaller than microscopic, and Zeptombic size.
Zeptombic.
I forget just how small that is, but you can see he has like nuclei orbiting him, so pretty small. But he can endlessly duplicate and make shapes in our non-Quantumania world. If he knows the internal workings of it, he can make it work. But you know, Ben can only remember so many things. So knowing the entire how a combustion engine works might be tough.
Yeah.
We're being told we also forgot Mixmaster.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I made graphics for all of them. That's just me. Like, my bad.
No, you're good.
Yeah, Mixmaster too.
You just want this to be done, huh?
I wouldn't say done. I'm just, you know, once you're streaming for a little bit, you start to get a little loopy. But no, Mixmaster, I was actually, out of all your aliens, I feel like he has like the most how do I phrase this? I don't want to say pleasant. Just like his design looks like the most fine-tuned, I guess. Like he just works very well.
Well, that's patting yourself and Ryan on the back. You guys, the original Mixmaster didn't really look too similar to this. But I really like how he turned out this way.
Yeah, I like the four eyes all like converging out around the circumference of the head. That's an interesting choice. So we got
Our little alchemist.
We got Energuy, Mantibolt, Bulwarks, Salami Bobby, Mixmaster, Tourniquet, Isodope, Dental Dam. Which one, Ash, would you say is your favorite? Mine would probably either be Mantibolt or Energuy.
I'm terrible at picking favorites. If I had to, though, I want to say between Mantibolt and Slobberage, but my brain is leaning a lot more Mantibolt. I think mainly because that was the first one that you had me work on, Kellen.
Yeah,
and
I
really
your
had fun with
concept art for all of these, for Mantibolt and Slobberage. They were so cool.
It just I loved the ideas and like from your sketches, the general shapes for their anatomy were so fun, and I was like, ooh, I can't wait to mess with this.
Yeah,
gotta make it fun, baby.
If anything, I would say Mantibolt. I think Mantibolt probably would be my favorite because there's also the added fact that we do have animated clip of him and like hearing his voice and seeing him move and everything just adds on to the fact of how much I like him.
Yeah, I love the fact
Yeah.
that we have him animated. I think that's the coolest thing. So yeah, that leaves 3 slots left for your playlist. In
And
fact,
you know what?
yep.
I am more than happy to tell you guys the names of the remaining.
You know who you're going to choose?
I think so. So first we have concept art that Ryan created recently of of an alien called Arrow, spelled Aerrow. I won't say the powers yet. We'll leave you hyped with those.
Yeah, in fact, with Arrow specifically, we're going to be posting his concept art on our Patreon. So, join that if you want to check it out in advance.
Join the Patreon.
Yeah,
baby.
join the Patreon. That's how we're able to do these things. So, yeah.
And patrons, please don't leak the art.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you got $1, you could see Arrow probably right after this stream because the concept art's done. So, yeah.
And then there's one that right now I call Warper, but I'm not quite too happy with that name. I think I made it when I was 13. I wasn't as clever, so I think we can come up with something better when we start to design him again. Wait, does that leave 3 slots?
Yeah, Arrow, Warper, and then there's one more.
Is there one more? Hold on, let me just make really sure.
Oh, is it the one that we actually did do concept art for like 2 years ago? Are you gonna slide that one in, or do you want to swap
Actually,
them out?
there's I think there's like 3 aliens still that have concept art.
Yeah.
I'm going to have another playlist. I think that much is clear.
Welcome to my club, buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, see, there's so many aliens. It's hard to really put one above the other.
Okay, so we have. Oh yeah, there is 3 slots. So the last one is probably going to be Scuttlebug.
Oh yes, Scuttlebug.
I do. Okay. I remember that one.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. And then for playlist 2, we already have concept art. So yep.
That'll come one day.
Yep. That's awesome.
No, not Scum Cannon. Scum Cannon is in our combined playlist. What's it called? Collaborations with Dental Dam.
Our 3 big brain playlist where all our brains merge into one big old wad of gum and make an alien.
Yeah, that's also why Dental Dam didn't count either, because Dental Dam was something all 3 of us conceptualized, which gets its own playlist. But on that note, I feel like this was pretty great. Are there any closing thoughts you want to offer the fans?
Can we show Cairo Baxter again?
Yes, we can. Let me throw him up there.
He's like, show him the boy.
Show him the boy.
Yeah. So this is the primary user of Energuy, and we just did this design last night on a patron stream, which you can join more of those if you donate to the Patreon.
Right.
But we modeled his armor kind of on crosshairs here a little bit, if you can see some of the similarities.
Get him a little closer.
Oh, get him closer.
Yeah.
Sort of like that. Focus, Logitech, focus. Sort of like that.
Yeah.
So a little bit like that, but not too close as to plagiarize. I didn't want. I wanted something like a trench coat, but not really. So I was like, wait, didn't clone troopers in Star Wars have like commanders that have like waist guards at the sides? And then we played on that. And yesterday you were like, hey, I want to add orbs too, but is that going to be too much like Energuy? And I'm like, Energuy came first. This armor could have been modeled off of him. So
yeah, I was worried about their designs being too similar, but I guess like thematically, like if this is this guy's like go-to alien, then sure, maybe he would want his like Omnitrix uniform or however you want to classify this, like modeled after his favorite dude.
To have a couple Proculata there. Or Sangrelata, excuse me. But yeah, that is all I got. Thank you guys so much. I really, really had fun. And thank you everybody who came to support. You guys are. I have no words for how grateful I am that you guys liked it.
I honestly feel the same way with the gratefulness of that we can even do this. Like, I love that like there's still people out there who are like still invested in creating aliens and part of the Ben 10 fandom, and I love that you're
Always
a part
will
of
be.
it. Yeah. And I love all your creativity. I love that we're able to work together with this. Like, I'm so honored that we're the ones that are able to like conceptualize your ideas and put them out there and help you, like, breathe new life into your creations. This is awesome.
Thanks,
so
brother.
I love this. And
You guys are family. Thanks, brother.
thanks. Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But I'll,
Alrighty.
yeah. So I'll probably wait about a day or so to actually put out the Energuy art, just so that folks can have it. They still have a chance to have it revealed for them on this stream.
Okay.
Because I feel like this stream, it really is the way to go when it comes to Energuy. So
Yeah.
his art will be up tomorrow. That will also give the wiki team time to prepare his page. So you'll be able to contact that about them. Join the Patreon if you want to see the stream where we were creating the design for this OC, as well as the concept art for Arrow. You'll also be able to support us for upcoming projects like the 5YL motion comic, which again is a very... It's like, I mean, just to put it bluntly, Kellen's like the backbone of it. Like it would not even be happening if it wasn't for Kellen. Like I would.
You're just a big fat liar. Thank you.
Man. Dude, I mean, like I would not have the opportunity to do it if it wasn't for you. Like, there's no way it would have worked. Like, so
Thanks,
thank you for
brother.
that. Thank you for helping me realize
sure.
my visions and breathe.
We're gonna
breathe my
get this
glitch.
done, man. We're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
do it.
And it's gonna be great. And Kellen's gonna be in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all voicing characters in it actually. So it's gonna be fun.
Group effort.
Yeah, there's updates already on our Patreon of that. You get to some fun little clips, tidbits of some of the recording sessions we've had with with Paxton Lee, Jonah Scott, and the rest of the gang. And if you'd like to help production with that, like I cannot stress it enough. The support of you guys is the only reason we're able to do this. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your continued support. And I hope that we're able to make it worth your while and keep giving you the content that you enjoy. But I hope you all have a fantastic start of your March. Dress warmly or, cool off, whatever part of the globe you're in. And have a great rest of your week. And as always, keep it fizzy.
Keep it busy.
Keep it fizzy. Yeah. Toodaloo.